Buddhism is vastly misunderstood as one of the religions where they do lots of meditation, and the Buddha is misunderstood as one of the great meditators. There is a very big distinction, however, between what the Buddha taught and what a lot of the other sages taught, and certainly a lot of the modern Western spiritual teachers. Now, the modern Western spiritual teachers will often lump in the Buddha with other teachers and say, oh, the Buddha said this too. The Buddha taught that as well. And what ends up happening is a massive reduction of what the Buddha was actually presenting. The Buddha, before he became the Buddha, was born and lived in a time where there was tremendous amounts of reflection and meditation during the Brahmin dominion already. The Buddha wasn't exceptional because he was able to follow those teachers of the day and do a really good job like they did, or continue enjoying the understanding of the then Brahmins and just doing a really good job at it, and referring to past teachers and doing what they did. The Buddha was exceptional because the Buddha noticed something completely different than anybody else did at the time. And Buddha was not a god, but a human being who realized the end of suffering. And there were many teachers before the Buddha that taught all kinds of very deep meditations, and a lot of the states that you'll hear people talking about these days, like the state of the self with a capital S, was prevalent at the time of the Buddha, where perhaps the self was just a oneness or one consciousness, or tapping into full presence, or tapping into silence and finding our true nature as the essence of everything. And it was actually a temporary experience, and there are many actually different experiences that are available, and these experiences, although profound, might feel like you've found your true nature or found yourself, but that can be very luring, very tempting, and thus misleading, because the Buddha experienced these states and then rejected them as the be-all and end-all, rejected them as enlightenment, and realized that enlightenment is only available through penetrating wisdom, not holding our consciousness or keeping our consciousness, keeping our mind in a very special place or space or vastness and hope that it sticks. There are many teachers today that claim that self with a capital S and non-self of the Buddha are actually the same thing, because those who realize the self with a capital S also realize that things like thoughts and the body and the emotions are not who we truly are, and then go seeking for what we really are. And then when they reach the end of what they think is the enlightenment, for them it is seeing that the seeker and the seeking are one, that everything they were searching for was already there in the silence or in the awareness. But what the Buddha saw was that even the consciousness, even the awareness, was not a self. That the conscious awareness isn't just this vast self, but actually consciousness is something that is arising and falling all the time with different objects. And sometimes the objects might happen to be, if we're in a deep state or a deep meditation, silence or pure awareness. But then those experiences fade and we're back to normal. And then we have to try to go and remember that experience, go back into it to achieve the peace or enlightenment again. But what kind of enlightenment has an entrance and an exit? That is something that my teacher, a great Buddhist monk, often says about those that move in and out of experiences and claim the beautiful experience that they move into is a state of enlightenment. For enlightenment, there has to be a finality, a final understanding, a final wisdom that pervades all the experiences. And some of that wisdom is simply that there is nothing that is a self, not even these vast, beautiful experiences with no thought beyond body and emotion. I've practiced vipassana for many years, and I've been able to see quite clearly that reality is a series of moments. One moment, and then another moment, and then another moment, one moment passing away and giving birth to another. And so when we pay attention to the present moment, that doesn't mean holding attention. It doesn't mean making ourselves vast and sensing that we and the universe are one. It doesn't mean keeping a silent space in our mind and hopefully re-identifying with the silence as who we are. We need to allow the mind to be free and then come to see what it is that the mind is doing and how it is working. Then we can truly start to transcend the mind and be able to have a quality of mind that is able to see the truth as it actually is. Now, when a lot of people reach that sort of transcendent state where we can sense that we're not our body and we are the awareness, that is just the beginning. Many teachers consider that the end, I've made it, I can see now that I'm the awareness, without using that awareness or state of samadhi to then scrutinize the body, the mind, and thoughts, seeing their true nature as impermanent, as unsatisfactory, as not a self, until the mind fully accepts this truth, goes through the enlightenment process, and comes out the other end as one with permanent, unwavering wisdom. This is the path that the Buddha discovered and taught and is still available today. And it is different, not in unison with the present spiritual teachings of today, the New Age books and such, which are primarily old Brahmin understandings from their meditations that the Buddha set right, brought thousands of people to reach true enlightenment, ending their personal suffering completely. And then that lineage continued. But unfortunately, Buddhism, in its true sense, is so rarely practiced correctly, even amongst Buddhists all around the world, and even in many, many temples in Thailand, that we are back in a paradigm of spirituality that is consistent with the times of the Brahmins. But we are lucky. There is a great teacher and a beautiful movement going on in Thailand in the Thai language that I am bringing to the English language and to the Western world, which is stemming from the true understanding and teachings of the Buddha that are necessary now in, once again, a very Brahmin-like spiritual environment which has resurfaced today. If you'd like to get started on the path that the Buddha really intended to end personal suffering, not just achieve really nice meditative states, then you have to learn mindfulness for insight from my teacher or any of his qualified instructors and assistant teachers. You can start with dhamma.com, DHAMMA.com, and then click English or /EN. You may also go to jesskoffman.com/insight class to find out when my next Mindfulness for Insight class is available, and you can register online. And please subscribe to BuddhasCool here on YouTube, my channel, to receive more free teachings and content regularly. Thank you so much, and I appreciate your like, subscribe, and comments below.